So I just want to say thank you to Anna for inviting me to come speak at the Being One Center. It's always a pleasure to be able to share my story and to have a platform to share who I am and what I'm passionate about. And I want to thank everybody else for coming. Thank you for coming and supporting and showing the love.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes. So today, my spirit, I felt this message so strongly in my spirit before I came. I was like, oh, this is going to be a good one. Because I'm very passionate about creating a new world. So, with a show of hands, who would like to create a new world? Everyone, of course. Okay. So a lot of people want to create a new world, but the question is, how do we create a new world? Okay. Now, a lot of people think creating a new world means to fight something. Let's go out and fight this. Let's fight that. But I'm here to tell you, we have to scale back from fighting and we have to really look at the energetic principle of what's happening. So the question is, why do we want to create a new world? Because we see a lot of pain and suffering, injustices, correct? Those are the reasons. Now let's get to the root of why we have those reasons. It's one simple word and an energetic principle. Lack of balance. Balance is what's needed. That one word, balance. So I can tell you right now, any issue that you see in the world, any issue, you can name any issue. I can show you how there's an imbalance that's causing that issue every time. So with that being said, if balance is what we need to create a better world, a new world, a more efficient world, the question is, what needs to be balanced? Now, usually when we think about creating a new world, we always go outward. We need to change that and do that. But we have to start from the micro, which is us. And that way, we change the macro. So now the question is, if you want a better world, what inside of you needs to be balanced? Where's the imbalance? That's the question. So I'm constantly looking inside of myself. When I feel myself getting out of balance, I bring myself back into balance. Because I understand my inner world is the most important world. And if your inner world is not balanced, you can't experience a balanced outer world. Right? So many of us, we want to be activists and fight. You need to stop this and stop this and stop that. But see, now I want to break it down from an energetic principle. Whatever you give your energy to, you feed. So, if you're giving energy to the imbalance within yourself, guess what? You're feeding the imbalance. And the more you feed it, the more inner chaos you cause. So if we want to change the world, it's cliche for everybody to say, we got to look at the man in the mirror. It's cliche. But then what? The then what is to balance out the imbalances within yourself. Now let's go deeper with that concept. How do you know it's an imbalance? Any chaos that's happening in your life is pointing to an imbalance. It doesn't matter what it is. And in most cases, the inner chaos that you're experiencing is because of a trauma that you experienced. Right? You have a major trauma. Now, the goal should be to balance out the trauma. How do you do that? For instance, if you were abused as a child and that created major trauma in your life, how can you balance that out? By providing a safe space for children. And in doing that, you give what you didn't get. And you balance out the energy. This is an energetic principle. So whatever it is that you didn't get in your life that caused pain, give it. Balance it out. And you know what happens? From giving what you didn't get to someone else, when you touch their heart, that's part of your healing process, the fulfillment you get from giving what you didn't receive. It's part of the healing process. But first you have to acknowledge what the trauma is and acknowledge that it needs to be balanced out. But what do most of us do when we experience trauma? We complain and want to fight. Oh, I hate men, or I hate these people, or I hate that religion, or I hate. And we want to fight it. But see, when you do that, you don't balance it out. You continue the cycle of imbalance because you're reacting from the same level of consciousness that the trauma occurred in. So you get stuck, you get caught in the cog. So a lot of people who think that they're doing good for the world, actually they're not when they're going out and fighting things. You are feeding the imbalance when you do that. I've had activists get mad at me when I make this statement. We have to fight for it. No, you're running from yourself. That's what you're doing. You're going out to fight the world because you're not taking accountability for what's imbalanced inside of yourself. It's an excuse. So whatever it is that you're fighting for as an activist, stop fighting what you don't like and create the opposite of it. Oh, you don't like how, women are being abused. Create a safe space for women and teach women how to know that they're in an abusive relationship. So it's not about fighting anything. And this is basic energetic law. And I promise everyone in this room, if you choose to start looking at the things inside of yourself that you need to balance out that's connected to your trauma, guess what? You'll also stumble across your purpose. Because whatever major trauma that you had in your life is pointing to your purpose. And guess what? Your purpose, when you fulfill it, is helping to create the new world. Because you can't create a new world without creating balance. You can't create a new world by being in the same energy of the thing that you're fighting. It's impossible. So this is why from the micro, we have to start with us. And it sounds cliche, but it's so true. So if we want to create a new world, we have to create a new. If you want to create a real world, a new world rather, you have to create a new you. A balanced you. And guess what? If everyone chooses to do that, the world would naturally change and become more loving and more peaceful. But we're so concerned about all the stuff outside of ourselves, right? I can't stand what this politician is doing. I just sit there and watch all the madness.
There's a lot going on.
I watch through social media because I don't watch the news. But what I see what happens is what you get is a lot of people giving a lot of energy to what they don't like. So it's like this. When you have a trauma inside of yourself that you're constantly reacting from, instead of balancing out and creating balance within yourself, you do what I call, you feed the monsters. You're feeding the chaos. You're feeding the imbalance. You want to starve it. So I've been saying this for years. A lot of the problems in the world will go away if we just collectively stop giving it attention. Because nothing can live without it being fed energy. If you don't feed it energy, it will, and I'm talking about anything. It doesn't matter what it is. It will fade away. This is why I don't give my energy. A lot of my energy to all this stuff. I just be like, I'm too busy working with my own energy, creating the opposite of what I want to see in the world, of what the world is showing me. I'm creating the opposite. I'm taking responsibility to bring balance into the world. And that's the only way you can create a new world. Period. So with that being said, now that we understand the first step to creating a new world is creating a new you. Now, from that step, what's the next step? Creating a new culture. Now, for years, I used to just get so, and I have to admit, I still get frustrated when I look at the culture and some of the things that's going on. And I have my little rants with myself, and then I let it go. But I don't fester in it anymore. Because there was a time where I would try to point out a lot of things to a lot of people. Do you see this is happening? We need to change this. Do you see this? We need to change this. Do you see this? We need to change this. Do you see this? Over time, I realized I was wasting my time and energy because what I was doing is I was trying to bring a fresh energy in the space that didn't want it. So one day I said, hold on. Nobody cares.
Right.
Or not enough people care
Right.
to make a big shift. So what am I doing here? I can't just continually give all my energy and keep doing this. So I grew up in Youngstown, Ohio, the hood. Okay. So I grew up on hip hop culture. So between the 7th and the 8th grade, right, I was really into hip hop music. And at that point, when I first went into the 7th grade, it was a lot of positive hip hop. Hip hop was more party and dance, have fun. It was more positive messages. And then in 1988, gangster rap hit the scene. Now, literally, I saw my entire peer group's energy shift. And I'm just standing there watching this shift, like, what is happening? Everybody's trying to act like a gangster. And I stayed the same. So imagine I'm conscious enough to see this and I'm confused, like, I don't understand what. So I had honor roll students I used to play basketball with bumping into me in the hall now, trying to act like they're gangster. I'm like, are you serious? This is crazy. And it just got out of hand to the point where I knew someone, a few people who got into doing street activities because they thought it was cool. Because see, music made it cool. So this is the reason why I'm bringing this up, because this is one of the things I talk about a lot. The negativity in hip hop culture. And nobody wants to hear it. Oh, it's just music. No, it's not. And it doesn't matter, not just hip hop, any negative music. It's not just music. If you're listening to that every day in your car, it's programming your subconscious mind. And I saw how it morphed, how my friends began to walk and act. And I'm like, wow. So I saw first, you can't tell me that it's just music, because I saw the morph from experience. I saw what it did. So just to say it's just music is ridiculous, because it's not.
Yeah, they say you don't listen to music, you absorb it.
Right. So people will say, well, you watch the Terminator and there's a lot of violence in that, but you're not watching the Terminator every day in your car driving to work. You watch the Terminator and then you cut the Terminator off. You cut the Terminator off. So what did I decide to do? I make conscious hip hop music, creating the balance. I'm no longer fighting the culture. As a matter of fact, at the end of next year, I made a vow. And I made a short little song. It's called X Culture. Well, I'm pretty much saying I'm denouncing hip hop culture and American culture, anything that's negative, and I'm creating my own culture. So if we want to create a new world, you have to create a new you, and from there, from the new you, we have to create a new culture. Okay,
Instead
go
of
ahead.
the new you, couldn't it be the real you?
Well, the real you is, it is the real you,
I think it's the
but it's
real
new
you.
compared to
What
what you
was.
were.
It's the real.
The real you.
All that
Yes.
stuff.
So that's a better way to say it. The real you.
Right, because what I watched was what conditioned me, what people told me conditioned
Exactly.
me. And then when I started to be me, people said, who do you think you are?
Exactly.
Because I'm not who you thought I was.
Right.
So I'm becoming who I really am.
Right.
From under all the rubble.
Right. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because, being the way that I am and being authentic, I would always get backlash, and I had to be courageous in my stance. And a lot of people I grew up with don't understand. A lot of family members think I'm weird and all these things. And it was very challenging at first.
Can we get an amen?
Yeah. It was very challenging at first, but I had to stick to my guns. And I had to be who I am, because I feel it so strongly within myself. There's a fire inside of me. And I know for a fact that I'm here to be one of the people to help create this new world. Because whether people embrace what I'm saying or not, guess what? You're going to get dragged into a new world anyway. So either you choose to start imbalancing yourself to prepare yourself so you can integrate into it, or you could take the hard route and get drugged in the gravel to it. So it's your choice. I've been warning people since 2010. I've been saying, listen, work on your inner world now. Develop your natural gifts now. Because here's the thing. The major trauma in your life, I want to go back to this. The major trauma in your life is a hint to your purpose. And if you step into creating the balance to balance out what your trauma was, your purpose helps create the new world. So when you step into your purpose, you step into your role of creating the new world. The old world has a problem because there are imbalances. Why is there a lot of war and all this madness happening in the United States? There's an imbalance. You know what the imbalance is? The imbalance is the lack of feminine energy being involved. It's all masculine energy. You can't just be action, 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 action. If there's a male president, there needs to be a female president. If there's a board, an important board to make decisions, and it's 6 people, it need to be 3 women and 3 men. Because you need the balance of the masculine and feminine principle to get a more broad view on how to make the decision. Balance. It always goes back to balance. This goes back to an ancient way of being called Ma'at from Kemetic principles, which was about the man and the woman building empires together. The woman is not beneath the man, and the man is not beneath the woman. So if you're fighting, women's rights, women, you just want it to be all women ruling things, that's imbalance too. It has to be both of us, men and women, creating the new world together. And if you go from one end, from all men running it to all women running it, it's going to be another imbalance. We have to come to the middle with everything. Everything. So the question is, on another level, because this is a basic energetic principle within all of us, we both have masculine and feminine energy. So guess what? If you're a man and you're suppressing all of your feminine energy, that's showing up in your world as an imbalance in your relationships, in everything that you do. And I can guarantee if you're a man and you're suppressing all of your feminine energy, you're suppressing your creativity. And you're not allowing yourself to flow enough, and you're being too, and it causes more stress and more, no, and we were taught as men that that's the way a man's supposed to be too. We've been taught that. It's not true. Because I'm here to tell you, based off of energetic principles, if you don't embrace yourself fully in a balanced way and learn how to dance in between both of those energies, you're causing yourself suffering. Same thing for a woman. If you're a woman and you're suppressing your masculine energy completely, it's going to be suffering on your end too. Because now you may not be taking enough action, and you may be too much in the flow. You have to ground the flow. You have to meet in the middle with both. When you ground the mother and the father within, now you can act from a space that's clear, that's moving with grace and force. You can't just move with grace. You got to have force and grounded force. If it's just grace and it's not grounded, you floating all over the place. And if it's force with no grace, now you just forcefully tearing everything up. So we have to have both hemispheres balanced enough. So for me, in understanding this energetic principle, I dance in between both energies. Right? And it's very interesting because on social media, I purposely do this. Like I put up videos of me dancing in the flow on purpose so men can see, hold on, he's straight and he's moving like that. Hold on, I'm confused. He's not gay and he's flowing. This is interesting. The first time I posted a video up like that, one of my friends messaged me privately and said, I felt very uncomfortable when I watched that video of you dancing. And I said, I felt very uncomfortable at first when I posted and saw it myself. But I forced myself through that uncomfortable feeling to where now when I see myself dancing, it isn't uncomfortable anymore. Because it has become normalized in my consciousness for me seeing myself. And this is why I put images of myself out there for men to see as a reference point. Yes.
When I met Jim, he said he bought a video to learn how to dance, and when he met somebody who could dance, take him out dancing. It never happened because he says that he feels when he sees people dancing, he thinks it's all sexual.
Interesting.
If you're dancing on the dance floor, does that mean that he wants to have sex with everybody?
You know what? What you just did was give me information about his own sexual energy.
So
that's what it. That's he's stirring up his.
Does that mean that you would, because he doesn't like watching it because he thinks everybody's trying to have sex?
That's because that's what he want to do.
Is that oh, okay? Right.
That's why.
Is that why?
He's looking through the lens of how he feels about sex, and he can't control his sexual energy. I don't know if I dance, I'm gonna want to get sexual. He's projecting. And that's another thing.
Because when I get, like, we've been going through a rough time for months, so I heard, I'll go in and give him a hug.
Mm-hmm.
He goes like this, and gives me a hug, and he goes, I know what I'm having for breakfast.
So he's shutting down anything that pulls up feeling. But see, that's the old school man mentality, though. We've been taught not to feel.
My husband.
Oh.
Yeah, we've been taught not to feel, to think that that's unmanly. So that's why I'm putting myself out there to be a reference point as the type of man to be like, listen, I'm straight and I can dance in the masculine energy, I can dance in the feminine energy, and I could be grounded in the middle of both. And I don't have to put women down to feel powerful.
You want everybody on the dance floor.
No, and I can dance. I want to tell you a story. Speaking of that, because you know I do ecstatic dances. Me and Raya and Robert, we do the Freedom Dance every first and third Saturday at the Kuru Wellness Center. Yeah, it's in Doylestown. So the first ecstatic dance I ever went to was in Asheville, North Carolina. Right? Very hippie town. It's cool though. So I didn't know what ecstatic dance was. I don't know what ecstatic dance. As a matter of fact,
Straight?
I could a little bit.
Just
But-
for 2 minutes.
But I went to this ecstatic dance and they was like, no talking. And I completely forgot. I ended up talking. They had to pull us to the side. No talking. Oh, I forgot. Because I talk too much as it is. So anyway, at that time I was shy and I didn't dance, but you can meditate too. You don't have to dance. So I'm just sitting there meditating, and this woman coming in front of me dancing, trying to entice me to come dance. I'm like, I see you. Yes, you're cute. Yes. But I was too shy at that time. But she came up and sat next to me. Okay, and this is one of the most beautiful moments of my life. And the song changed. It went to this beautiful song, and I just held her hand. I didn't say a word. And we just held hands until that song went off. And then I let her hand go and we just bowed to each other. Now, while I held her hand, you could feel the energy of the connection. But what was so beautiful about it to me was that we shared that beautiful moment. I didn't ask for a phone number or anything after the dance. We didn't even speak. We just allowed ourselves to experience that. It was a sensual moment, even just sitting there, but it wasn't sexualized. It was just a sensual sharing in a respectful manner. It didn't have to go anywhere. And when I experienced that, something in me shifted. It was like, wow, that was so beautiful to be able to connect with a woman that deeply without any expectations. It was a freedom within that and a beauty within that I experienced. Like, wow, that was deep. And because I had that experience, I was able to connect like that more easily with women. So, you know, when I would connect, I don't really come with, let's, it's just let it organically be what it needs to be. And when I dance a static dance, I may dance with someone and we dance for a little while and I go about my business, and it doesn't have to be anything else. And I think in this new world that we're talking about creating, we need to create safe spaces for each other in that way, to where we can have experiences without these rigid, strong expectations. Because the more you have, more expectations that you have, you also create suffering. So what I do with my life is I just try to let things happen organically. And if I feel myself trying to force things too much, I fall back like I'm forcing it too much. Let me flow with it and let me see what's happening. Because if you're trying to force something, that's how you know you're coming out of the middle. And if I have to force it, it may not be what I need to do. It may not. And that's what I've learned from my personal experience. Every time I've tried to force things, it never really worked. But when I just fall back a little, I'm not saying don't take action. Because when it's time to take action, you take action. But sometimes when I'm not sure, or if I feel myself forcing things, I stop. No, let me just wait for a minute. And then I either get inspiration or another opportunity will come for me to take action. And then I take action. You know, so sometimes the best thing to do is just wait to be shown what to do. Right? But see, in the old world that we're trying to get away from, we've been taught, make it happen, hustle. You gotta hustle, make it happen, make it happen, make it happen. So I'm speaking from the perspective as a man, because I used to be in that mentality. When I first moved to Atlanta, I was in the music industry. I was always all the events, hustle, working 2 jobs. I did all the events, running around. It was just too much. I was burning if I'd have stayed on that path, I would have literally fried my circuits. I'd have burnt myself out. So what I learned to do was to not be so forceful, but that's what I was conditioned to do as a man. Make it happen, make it happen. So now it's more about, I have an idea, something I want to do. Do I have inspiration to do anything about it? Oh, I do. Inspiration came to take this action. Take it and see what happens. Oh, that worked. Keep going from there. Or I want to do this and I'm searching for something searching around for some things I may need to make that happen. And then an opportunity comes in. Then I take action. So when it comes to taking action, it's more of an organic process as opposed to a forceful process. And take this with you. Check yourself. Whenever you feel yourself being too forceful, stop yourself for a minute and breathe. And know that you're coming out of center. Because if you're being forceful to try to make something happen, you're operating from fear on some level. Oh, I gotta hurry up and do this and make it happen. Make it happen. That's fear. So if you're in fear, you're lowering your frequency, your vibrational frequency. And if your frequency lowers, you're not conscious enough to be clear of the inspiration or the opportunities that may be. It could be an opportunity right there. And if you're like, oh my God, what I'm going to do? The opportunity is to walk right past you. You're not going to see it. But for me, I'm like, okay, what do we do? I don't know. Whew. And I just wait. And I'm consciously open for the opportunity that's going to walk by me. As soon as it does, I take it. Okay. I got another story. I was in Bali, and when you're in Bali, you can only stay there for 30 days. And we accidentally stayed 30 days over. Didn't even realize we was having such a good time. So we were trying to fly out. They brought us into the room, interrogated us. You have to give us this amount of money. Da-da-da-da-da. And I had the money, but my PayPal card expired that day, and the ATM took my other card. So I'm like, uh-oh. And we about to fly out. So I didn't panic. They said, go get the money. So I just walked out of the room and I just literally just stood there because I didn't know what I was going to do. I just literally stood there and just waited. Oh, somebody in here has PayPal. I could transfer the money to them and they could take it out of ATM and we could just pay them. So we started asking people, you got PayPal? You got PayPal? You got PayPal? And a guy from New Zealand says, I have PayPal. Cool. I go on my phone to try to send the money to him. Swirly rainbow. Like, really, universe? Now? Are you serious? So he said, well, get on your computer, log in, then you can send it from, I have my laptop. Got on the computer. We have to send a number to your cell phone. My American phone was off and my Australian phone was off because I was in Australia for a while too. So I couldn't even get the code to get into my own PayPal. So I'm like, I didn't panic though. I'm just breathing in. I'm breathing kind of tight though. A little tight. So the guy from New Zealand said, you know what? I'm going to just get the money out for you. Just pay me back when you land back in Australia. He got the money out and went and paid and got out. Now, in that same situation, if I would have panicked like the old Jason, there's no way I'd have been calm enough to think somebody here has PayPal. I'd have been like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Oh no, my card is expired. I can't believe this. God, why?
He wouldn't want to help you out.
Yeah, why? If I'd have played the victim mode, right? And here's another thing. Speaking of victim, if we want to create a new world, we have to step out of the victim mentality. We have to. We have to be accountable.
But why?
And see, people, and most people don't want to admit this, but they don't want to step out of the victim mentality because if you do, accountability comes with that and responsibility. Ooh. You mean to tell me I'm responsible for this madness in my life? And I have to be accountable for balancing out the trauma? Yes. Yes. You have to stop playing the victim role and you have to start becoming the alchemist. What does the alchemist do? The alchemist balances out things. Balance. So there have been plenty of times in my life where I've been talking to somebody and it'll be like a friendly debate about something. And I don't know for 100% that I'm right about something. And they just going on and on and on. I'll be like, well, maybe you're right. And I know that they're not, but it doesn't matter because I don't want the chaos because it's starting to get too crazy. So I just be like, maybe you're right, and balance it out. But when your ego want to be right, you sacrifice peace for trying to be right. And sometimes you have to look at the bigger picture. If you know that you're right, it doesn't matter whether they know or not. I'd rather have peace. So I choose peace. If you want to do something that I think that's crazy, I know that's crazy, that you go hurt yourself, go hurt yourself. You'll see. But I'm not going to invest my time and energy trying to over convince you. I'll just say what I need to say. Leave it on see the. And even along the spiritual path, the older Jason, I would still try to convince people. Gotta wake up. Don't you notice? The government doing it. We got. I don't do that anymore. What I do is I just share my view, and that's it. I don't even really comment too much when people say stuff. I don't even really reply anymore. I'm just speaking from heart. If it resonates with you, it does. If it doesn't, disregard it. That's why I tell all of my clients, oh, what I'm saying doesn't resonate with you? Fine, disregard it. But guess what? I know if you put it into play and apply what I'm saying, you'll see the shift for yourself. So you have to be the experimenter to see. So with that being said, I guarantee you, if you leave today and say, what is my major trauma in my life? This happened to me. What service can I provide to give what I needed when I was going through this traumatic experience? What's going to happen is you're going to get led to your purpose. And when you get led to your purpose, you're going to get led to helping to create the new world. That's what will happen. But we're so caught up in having a career, right? Making money. I'm not against making money. Trust me, I'm not one of these poverty consciousness spiritual teachers. You need to be dirty and broke to be spiritual. No, that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, if I had a choice between making $1 million a year doing something that doesn't feed my soul and it stresses me out all day, as opposed to making $60,000 a year doing something that fulfills my heart, I'm going to choose the $60,000 because money is not my God and it's not worth sacrificing my inner peace for more of it. So I can do what? Buy more things? Okay. And I don't want more things. I want more experiences. And I want more balanced experiences. Experiences that feed me, that touch me. And all these people who are thriving to make a lot of this money, once they get it, they're still not satisfied because what they're missing is the experiences that touch them. They think getting a new car, getting a new house is going to fill that void. Nope, it's not. All it's going to do is have you crave more. Becomes a drug to get more, the drug to get more. But this is how we've been conditioned as Americans to be, though. That's the American dream, right? Get more. But see, that's the old world. If we want to create the new world, we have to change our priorities. What's more important to you? Your inner peace or the fact that you can pull up in a Mercedes and make everybody else feel jealous? What's more important? Now, if you step into your purpose and you make a lot of money, which is highly possible, getting your Benz and getting whatever, that is not a negative thing. But if you get it in a way that's fulfilling in how you got it, you're going to feel good when you go home and sleep at night. You're going to be smiling inside. As opposed to going and slaving to make this money for what? To impress everybody around you? I don't care about impressing people around me. I just want to be at peace. Now, This is part of a new culture. Now, like I said, I denounced culture and I'm going to create my own now. Me and Raya were on a mission, and my roommate Robert and my friend Shagri, we're starting, and possibly Karen. Well, you're part of it anyway. So we're starting a movement called the Heart Space Movement. Okay, literally new culture, positive music, positive events, gatherings, new ways of schooling. Raya schools some of her own children, and her children are not even indoctrinated by this American mind state that most teenagers or kids operate in. They don't even connect with it at all. That's because she literally created her own world within her own bubble. But we need to expand that out. So she has experience in that area. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that experience and somehow come together and start to create this culture from the ground up and expand it out. And if people want to continue to be in this negative culture that degrades women, that promotes violence, fine, they can have it. But if we want a better world, if we choose to balance out our inner world and choose to step into creating a new culture, we will eclipse the old one and it has to fall away. Now, the new culture I'm going to create runs off of 4 basic principles. That's it. Love, honor, respect, and integrity. After that, you can do whatever you want to do. If that is the foundation of everything that you do, everything will be balanced enough. I'm not saying perfect, but balanced enough. And if it starts to fall out of balance, it's your responsibility to bring it back into balance. Love, honor, integrity, respect. Okay? So I'm here. I got led to Bucks County. I didn't choose to come here. I literally got led here, and I know it's not by accident. There are no accidents. But this energy here is special, and I know I'm here to be a part of something. And I've realized it's part of creating a new culture. And I don't know exactly how it's going to blossom, but I know that I'm going to be a part of it. So maybe you can join me. I hope so. Because when I'm talking about creating my own culture, I'm not talking about creating a cult. I'm not talking about you have to do everything the way I do. No, you can dress the way you want to dress. You can eat what you want to eat, as long as you operate on the 4 principles. Love, honor, integrity, respect. Do whatever you want. As long as that's the foundation. And see, that's the problem that I find in a lot of spiritual movements. It's these rigid ways of being that you have to be. If you're part of this group, you got to be like this. You got to eat this. You got to dress like this. See, I'm not for any of that. I think that you should be exactly who you are in your unique expression, but understand the basic energetic principles, because living with love, integrity, honor, and respect automatically keeps you more in the middle, in a balanced way. And it's about having emotional intelligence and being accountable and responsible for when you're feeling bad. So when I come home, I may be feeling kind of cranky. I'll just let Ryan know I'm feeling cranky right now. I'm gonna be quiet for a second. And I don't allow myself to react. Cause see, the older version of Jason would just come home and be cranky, be like, what you just be quiet. I'm trying to eat some peanut butter and bananas. And you keep that, but the more conscious version of Jason understands I'm feeling very uncomfortable inside, so I just need to go sit with it and let the cloud go away and stay in the middle. And if we would all start to do that, we would create more peace in our spaces. But a lot of the problems in the household and in our relationships and things of that nature is because we just don't know how to deal with our inner world. Uncomfortable feelings come up, anger comes up, and we react from it, as opposed to knowing that feeling is not us. We could just sit with it and let it just marinate. And I promise you it'll go away. If you start to practice this, next time you feel uncomfortable, you're about to snap on somebody, just fall back and just go sit down and be quiet. And it'll pass. And then you'll feel better. But this is how you start to balance that inner world within yourself too. When you start to take back control of your inner world and your inner energy. Because what's happening is that turmoil inside of you is trying to get you, it wants to feed off of your energy. You don't have to feed it. You can starve it. Like, nope, nope, nope. You may feel horrible. Sometimes I just sit there feeling terrible, like. But when we create a new culture, we create a new society. And everything will begin to shift. And see, I don't think we realize how powerful we are as individuals. We always seem to look outside of ourselves for somebody to make the changes in the world for us, as opposed to just being the change. And if we choose to be the change by balancing everything out, I promise you, everything from politics, music, and everything will change along with it. We influence the wave. Because whether we like it or not, all the things that are going on in the world that we don't like is a reflection of our collective inner worlds. That's what it is. So, the next time, this is a challenge. The next time a politician or somebody makes you mad or is doing certain things, look at this person and ask yourself, are they reflecting back anything that you do? It might not be reflecting back everything, but it may be some things that they're reflecting back that you need to look at, possibly. Because when I look at certain people in the world that make a lot of people mad, a lot of people that are actually mad at this person, I'm like, actually, you kind of do stuff like that too. And you're mad at this person for being that way when you're that way.
Right.
It's actually a mirror trying to get you to see that you shouldn't be acting this way. But instead of admitting that, we want to fight the part inside of us within another person. So that's not always the case. Sometimes people just reflect back things and make you angry because it's just unfair. But if you're honest enough with yourself, I promise you, sometimes stuff that people do that you don't like may be reflecting back a part of yourself that you don't like. And that may be why you want to fight it so much, because it's the part of you that you don't like. Sometimes. So one of the most painful things is to be brutally honest with yourself about who you are and what you're doing that's imbalanced. Because, I mean, along this path of my own inner healing, there are times I discover things within me and I'm ashamed of myself, like, damn, I can't believe that's why I'm doing this. Ooh, there were times where in certain, like in past relationships too, it's like I feel like I just want to put a hoodie over my head when I realized, when I was like, oh, I feel ashamed, you know, and things come up, but I'm honest enough with myself to be like, okay, I'm ashamed that I'm doing that, but let me change, let me balance it out. Let me stop doing it. Let me do something different, because I don't like that part of myself, and I have to be responsible enough to make the change. And then I do. And then I change, and then life circumstances change. See? So every time I'm being responsible and changing and balancing out my inner world, I am contributing to changing the world. So we have to do it. Okay? If you're waiting for a politician to do it for us, you're waiting for this ascended master to come back to do it for us. No. That's not the answer. We're the answer. And we have to create something different. And if you really look at the world and what's happening, you could already see there's a new world emerging anyway. There are a lot of things crumbling that we've been attached to for a long time. There's a lot of technology. There's a lot of new things coming out that are just disrupting everything, from the money markets to the trucking industry to the hotel industry. Now you got Airbnb. Hotel industries are panicking. Oh my God, we're losing business. Rental car companies. Oh my God. They got an app called Turo where you can rent cars cheaper than you can get from a rental company. Oh my God, everything's being disrupted. Digital currency, Bitcoin, oh my God, the money, what's going on? That's because technology always gives you a view of where we're going as a species. The technology is trying to pull us forward. So before we can fully accept that invitation to go forward, we have to dismantle all of the conditioning and the cultural ideas that we've been attached to for years that are no longer applicable. So if we can't be flexible enough to change, to go into this new way of being, it's going to be a very hard adjustment. So don't allow yourself to be dragged. Just surrender and just walk towards where we're being led and balance yourself out in the process, and you'll be just fine. There's going to be a lot of discomfort, though. That's part of the change. That's part of it. And what happens when you live from a more balanced state, you live from a more efficient state, because all of the chaos in the world and everything that's happening is because the imbalance is causing stagnation. So when you have an imbalance, the flow of something is off. It's just like when your arteries clog up, you have a heart attack. That's because there's not enough efficient energy flow of the blood in your arteries. So it causes problem. So any issues in the world, it's an imbalance that's causing stagnation. When you balance it out, you open up the flow of the energy. So this is taking it to an energetic principle of understanding. So any problem in your life, look at it and say to yourself, what needs to be balanced and what needs to be removed that's causing stagnation? Is it a certain person? Is it a certain job? What is it that's causing the blockage? Because if you have a clogged artery in your heart, where's the imbalance? How you're eating. You're eating too many fatty foods. See, so it always goes back to imbalance and a blockage. The imbalance causes the energetic blockage. And this is on all aspects of life. Physically, energetically, relationships, career, it doesn't matter. We can plug in this principle into anything and you'll see it. If you could just think about it from that perspective. Something's wrong. What's imbalanced? Immediately say that. When you see something wrong in your life, ask yourself, what's imbalanced? Like for me, food is my weakness. I'm eating too many carbs, too much junk. So I have to balance it out. I have to eat more fruits and vegetables. I have to be responsible enough to do that. It's my responsibility because I know better. So I have to balance it out. It's like that with any imbalance. You have to be responsible. Okay? Does anybody have any questions?
Could an imbalance be a resistance?
Yes, because resistance is a stagnation. So whatever your belief is connected to an imbalance in your thinking and how you see things. So it's causing resistance. Yeah. So you have to find out, okay, what is causing the resistance? What imbalance is causing the resistance? Whatever that imbalance is, when you balance it out, the resistance will start to move. But the thing is, a lot of times, the imbalance, we're so comfortable within it that we're afraid to experience anything outside of it. So we're like, well, if I balance this out and I do something I've never done before, that I know I need to do, what's going to happen? Will I be able to exist in this state that I haven't even experienced before? You got to see. You got to be courageous. Balance it out and see. And you'll see for yourself, you'll be fine. You may be shivering in your boots, but you'll be fine. That's a part of the process, fear, because you're stepping into a more true way of being. But you haven't allowed yourself to do that for so long that you're so comfortable in operating from a space that's not really you. And that's a long time. I mean, the longer you've been doing it, the more challenging it is to change.
Because you think it's really your being inside is really wanting you to do this. But you've been doing this so long. But it will be okay because that's really what you're supposed to do. What you're really afraid of and resisting to do. That's what I'm starting to feel about myself.
Yeah.
What I'm going through is like, no, but my inner guidance is like, yes, 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 it'll be fine. You'll have more of what you really want. Then you just decide to stay stagnant.
Because when I came to Bucks County, I had no idea it was a spiritual community. I'm a spiritual teacher, energy healer. I didn't know. I just came because I was guided here.
Yeah.
And then everything just fell in
When
my
you have
lap.
that guide, it's just something that you're supposed to do. You were born to do it. Like you said. That's what you're really here to do, is to do these things instead of being stagnant in the old way when there's that imbalance.
You're here to live in your purpose so you can create a new world. This is why all the children come in. We are supposed to nurture our children's potential and help them find their purpose so they can expand culture and help culture and society expand. But what we do is, most of the time when children are born into the world, we stagnate them by making them, no, you got to do it the way we did it. Do it this way. But they're here to expand. So I'm not going to do that to my son. I'm going to teach him the 4 basic principles of love, integrity, honor, respect. And you could do whatever you want as long as that is the foundation. He may not want to be a healer. It doesn't matter. Whatever he wants to do, I'm going to nurture that because that's his purpose.
Right.
And if we nurture that, the children will bring forth new ways of doing things, and we have to let them expand it. I want the children to come in to make things more efficient. That's what they're supposed to do. So when we tell them, no, we do it this way, what we're doing is we're actually stagnating the possible expansion of culture and society.
Because that's what was done to us.
Right. And then when you do that for generation after generation after generation after generation, what happens is the monetary systems, everything begins, it breaks down because we didn't allow the children to come in to expand upon it. If we would allow the children to come in and expand upon the monetary system, the economic system, what would have happened is it would have naturally just expanded into something new. But because we suppressed it for so long, it's to a point where it has to crash.
Right, and that's where they say, well, they got their own mind.
Right.
Own mind instead of what I told her. That's what you ever hear that saying?
What saying is that?
About a child that believes in herself and wants to do what he or she wants to do, and then the family members say, oh, she has her own mind.
Right.
Because I don't have your mind.
Right.
Now
It's a negative
bad
thing. Right. Because I know my son is here to expand upon what I bring forth. He's supposed to. He's supposed to take it to the next level. That's what the next generations are coming here to do. You know? So in this new culture that I'm a part of, that I'm creating, I want to give space for the children to grow into their natural way of being so they can upgrade. Because society, just like when you had your computer, right? You get an upgrade every now and then. If you didn't get an upgrade every now and then, you wouldn't be up to par with the new systems. So culture needs upgrades. The children come in to upgrade culture, but we deny them the opportunity to do so because we're too rigid and fixated on tradition. Tradition is not a negative thing, but give it some space to grow. You know, because I remember growing up, my father's like, yeah, this is my father used to do. And I used to be like that too. I would just by default just do it the way my father did it because I'm thinking that's the way. Then after a while I was like, hold up, I don't want to do it this way.
Jason's got his own mind.
Yeah, I started like revolting, like I don't like that way. I'm gonna do it this way. You know, and they looking at me like, what's wrong with him? Like, I don't want to do it that way. And I realized it was just me stepping into my power too, because, you know, growing up, looking at my father, don't get me wrong, my father is a great man. He instilled a lot of principles within me. Like, he was the first person in my life I saw operate with integrity, love, honor, and respect. He's a man of his word, all of that. There for the family, the whole nine. He was there every step of the way when I was a kid and still there. But I just realized that, you know, I don't have to be boxed in by my father's way of being. I don't have to be, you know? And I'm not going to put that pressure on my son to be a certain way. I'm going to let him be exactly who he is. That's his birthright, to come here and do what he's here to do. Not to be who I want him to be. That's not fair. But we're indoctrinated and taught to make our kids be a certain way. And all it does is cause resentment. The kids get mad. They resent us. Then we get mad at the parents get mad at them because they're not being the way we want them to be. And it's just a cycle of resentment. Relax, give some space, let the child be who they are, and just teach them the foundational principles. Let them grow naturally. And how do I know this works? Because sometimes I deal with kids and teenagers and stuff. And what happens is when I talk to them, I never try to implant I talk to them in a way where I don't talk down to them. And I talk to them eye to eye on the same level in a sense. And I give them respect. And what happens is something interesting happens. They begin to open up and they begin to respect me deeply. But what I see in this culture, a lot of adults try to demand respect. How you demand respect from a child if you don't give a child respect? It don't work like that. You don't. Children and teenagers, they're people. They're not beneath you. They may not understand some things you understand, but they may understand some things that you don't understand. So I'm open to that. So when I'm sitting with a teenager, I'll give advice, but from a space of, look, you ever think about this? Not what you need to do is I never come at them like that. As soon as you talk to a child like that, they're gonna pull a wall up. As soon as you say what you need to do, they're not listening no more. They're not listening. That's facts. But if you say, well, why don't you try this? More than likely, they'll probably try it because you're coming from a space like you're not trying to force it on them. If you try to, and this is with adults, if as an adult, if your girlfriend or your boyfriend trying to say, you don't need to do this, what you need to, automatically you go like, I'm about to do it. You gonna want to do the opposite. You gonna want to do it now. How you gonna try? Because your spirit gonna be like, how you gonna try to tell me what to do? That's how you just naturally react. Because as a human, you want to be free. And you want to be who you are. And if someone tell you can't do something, in most cases, you probably go try to do it. But if someone says, maybe you should look at this, then you'll be more relaxed and ponder it more. And fill it out for yourself more. And you won't try to do it in a reactionary way, So I don't want my son to react and be a rebel. It's going to be no need for him to be a rebel because he's going to have the space to be who he is. So what you need to rebel about? Oh, I want to be a dancer. Okay. Let's go to dancing classes. I want to be a carpenter. Okay. There's a place you can learn how to do carpentry. It doesn't matter to me. What matters is that he gets an opportunity to be who he is, purely. That's what matters the most. So that's how my culture is going to work. And any children that's in my culture will experience that. And any children that experience that, anything they create in the world is going to be more balanced. And then guess what happens? There's more peace in the world. That's the answer. Balance breaks up the stagnation, the flow comes, and in the flow, expansion happens. That's it. So what we're actually witnessing, we're in a very interesting time on the planet. What we're actually witnessing is almost like clogged arteries as a society. And that heartbeat is struggling. And I don't know if it's going to make, matter of fact, I know it's not going to make it, but that's okay. Because something new is coming out of it. The old way is dying. It has to. The arteries are too clogged. It's not going to make it. So either we can recognize that and adapt to the new way that's coming up. And the new way that I'm saying, it doesn't have to be, I'm creating my own culture. You don't have to create your own culture. You don't have to be a part of mine. Create your own. I'm not out here saying everybody need to come and be a part of my culture. I'm just going to create my own culture. Whoever wants to join, beautiful. Maybe you could take principles from this culture that you like and create your own. Like, it doesn't have to be a dictatorship. But as long as you have understanding, anything you create can work. But if you don't have understanding of how to create the proper foundations of what you're building, it won't work. The proper foundations is teaching the kids who are coming up about balance, about respecting a woman's voice, about respecting a man's voice. The balance of all of this. And the main thing I see that's missing in society too is just the basic honor. Like, where's the honor? Like, when I turn on the radio and I hear this music, with all this music, the stuff that I hear these men saying about women, it blows my mind. I can't believe that we're allowing it to come out. And the violence and all these different things it's very interesting. You know, so we have to realize that we can't fight that culture. We gotta let it die off. Let's just create something new. You have to create something new, okay? And with that being said, speaking of music, we all know that we're vibrating, correct? Everything's energy vibrating. So if something is vibrating, it's a sound wave. Okay? So that means that we're all instruments. Your vibrational tone is literally creating a sound. You can't hear it, but you can feel it. And when someone comes in the room with a sound frequency and a vibrational tone that's balanced, you feel good because you can feel their song. It's balanced and it soothes you. Oh, I like this person. That's because you like their music. You're feeling their music. Oh, I like that rhythm. I want to be around that rhythm, right? So, look at this. Now, I was shown this when I was in deep meditation. It's interesting to me, you know, when you look at cultures all around the world, right? It's interesting to me that a lot of cultures they're so engulfed in their culture to where they don't want any outside influences, right? They keep it like, no, I want it to stay like this. And it's interesting to me because when I look at human beings, what I see are instruments, and also what I see in cultures, I see different sections of the orchestra. So if you were to look up Irish music in Ireland, it's a lot of bagpipes and a lot of music is up higher, right? Tones. More in the European area, a lot of the music is more like strings and, you know, and horns, right? Then if you go like to South America, Africa, it's more like drums, rhythm, right? So when I see all these different cultures, what I see is all parts of the orchestra. And what I realized is we're so busy, a lot of us, trying to prove that the drum is better than the flute, as opposed to coming together and playing as an orchestra. Let South America have a rhythm section and let Ireland have the horns and play together. And once we realize it's not about holding a culture tight, it's about blending, it's about cultures blending in harmony together and working together and creating the music, the orchestra. Let the drums blend with the bagpipes and let it all blend. And it could be one dance that just flows. We don't have to just, no, this is our drums. No, we do the drums. No, we do the bagpipes. No, let's come together and play together. And if we balance out or tune up, like if you play a guitar out of tune, you know, you feel, ugh. Or somebody sing off tune to make you feel like, ugh. Well, when you're imbalanced inside, when you walk into a room, your frequency make people feel like, because you're not in tune. So when you balance your inner world and work on your inner trauma, you tune up your instrument. So when you walk into a room, people feel you. Oh, they want to be around you more, right? That music is in tune. I like you. But if your instrument is out of tune, nobody want to be around you. I can't stand looking. Every time we come with attitude, out of tune, imbalanced. Tune up your instrument. If everybody would to tune up their instrument, what would happen is we will all start to play in harmony together as one big orchestra, as the human race. And that's what needs to happen. And this new world that's coming, we're going to see more of that. More of playing together in harmony. Right? So it's up to us to embrace it. Don't fight it. Because if you try to fight where we're going, you're going to do nothing but just cause more suffering for yourself. I decided to stop fighting it. And I'm just going to create something separate from it. And exist in that. And it doesn't even have to be real huge. It could be just in Bucks County. Hey, however big it needs to be is how big it will be. But I promise you, I will be a reference point of a balanced man that takes full responsibility in my position in helping to create a new world. Any other questions?
Okay. How you deal with the negative people, like, you know, where they're trying to drain your energy and just needy, and it's like friction, like, you know, how do you deal with them?
You have to cut them off.
Cut them off, but it's hard to cut them off, especially if you're in a center like this. You know, I can't cut people off.
Well, so you're not talking about in your personal space.
You're talking about people that are in a spiritual community. Mm-hmm. That most of the time they're okay, but then they, on the side, try to zap your energy.
Oh, that's where you got to set the boundary and you have to detach and set boundaries. It's about setting boundaries. Because I had to start doing that because people would start to feed off of my energy. Mm-hmm. And I would have to just be like, no, I can't. You know, people want to come dump their stuff on me. And I had to say no and just not engage. And if you have to let them know. Like, maybe you have to let them know, like, you know what? You're dumping on me right now. And, you know, I need a break. I need some space right now. You know, and just let them know. Mm-hmm. Got to set boundaries.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
I was going to say something about the balance. You say you come into a room, you're center, people
Mm-hmm.
like you.
Mm-hmm.
Just for some reason, Nancy Kerrigan and Tanya Harding came into my mind.
Okay.
What was the imbalance there? That you have Nancy, that's this beautiful skater, and Tanya too, but she had to break a kneecap because she was jealous of her. What was that energy about? Like you're saying, somebody, they want to be around you. Why is it that when you have that, people want to take it from you?
Because the imbalance within herself is her own confidence. So take out the competition.
Right.
So when she doesn't feel like she's enough. If you feel like you got to take out competition, that's the imbalance. She doesn't feel like she's enough. So because she feels less than, take out competition. That's the imbalance. If she feel that she was enough, there would be no need to get rid of the competition.
Right. So
that's the imbalance.
That kind of relates to what she was saying. You know, that when you're in this place, you may have somebody that might be a little bit intimidated by that, even though we're all trying to do the same thing, and try to take you down. Well, but then if you're really balanced in yourself, that can't happen.
That's what I'm about to say. Like, somebody can try to take you down, but the only way they will really be able to take you down is if they pull you into reacting on their level. Right. Now they're getting, because people try to bring me to their level, and I just don't. I call it like people try to invite me to the boxing ring. I just don't get in the ring, and I just sit there and look at them throw punches. I'm like, oh, that was a hard left hook. I'm not gonna get in the ring to fight with you. So if I don't get in the ring to fight with you, what can you do? The only way negative people can get to me is by lowering me to their level, and I start reacting back and wanting to fight. But I just don't. So they don't know what to do. And then I've had several. Right. I've had several people who poke. What they do is they start poking. They try to find my weak spot, and I just don't react. And then they just stop. Once they realize I'm not gonna step in the ring, and then they just go find somebody else to try to fight. Because they're gonna keep looking for other people to fight. Because if you're negative inside, you're not happy inside, all you're going to do is constantly look for somebody to fight. That's what happens. So what you going to do with me? I'm not going to fight you. I'll just sit there and look at you.
And then that's saying, they say hurt people, but then there's hurt people that love people and want to love somebody because you were hurt and you don't want to ever have somebody else feel that way.
Well, see, what you're doing right there is you're putting other people before yourself. And that's causing you suffering. So you can't do that. You know.
Right, I learned that.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, there are a lot of people out there that don't know that they're that way. That, you know, we were hurt, like I was hurt and stuff, and I dealt with it, but I don't want to go out and break somebody's kneecap just because it was done to me.
Yeah.
I want to show them something else.
Right. That's because you're just in a different space. You know, some people, when you have extremely low self-esteem,
That's what
those
I
type
wanna
of people do certain actions that's like, what, like, really? You know, so you don't have extreme low self-esteem like that. So it scales. Like, it depends on how low your self-esteem is, will determine how you react or if you respond,
do. Right.
you know?
And I was a reactor, but I'm not as bad anymore in certain things.
Okay.
But it's getting better. And to being around, like here today, it's like, it feels so good to be around a lot of people that feel the same way. You know, and, absolutely. It gives me hope.
Yep. You got to follow the invitations of life, that sweetness that's pulling you somewhere. Keep following that. Yep. And you're going to have, as we know, you're going to have people that try to tell you what you're doing is wrong, you're crazy, and that's not you, and you're trying to be something you're not. Don't
No,
listen.
I can't help but be the way I am because I try to suppress her, but she keeps wanting to come out.
Right.
You know, and then he stays suppressed for so long before he says, no, I'm trying to please somebody else, but my soul says, no, I can't do that.
You can't push that flower back into the ground. You have to let it in.
Okay, so would you guys be open to doing a one heart meditation to sit in a circle so I can lead a meditation?
Great.
Okay, beautiful.